truth time right here.
No one back there has time.
Because the Rams welcome back Alex Smith like this.
Donald gets there.
What's your party going to look like? The question of the day for the game of the week. Steelers defense or Ravens offense? Who has the edge? We've got the answer. Plus, the question of the season for the Atlanta Falcons is find a way to win or find a way to lose. How will they answer on Thursday? And what's Kurt Warner looking for on Sunday? This is your NFL headquarters. This is NFL Total Access. Starts tomorrow with a few players in new uniforms. This is NFL Total Access. I'm MJ Acosta-Ruiz. Our Hump Day crew includes the Willie McGinest in studio with us, James Jones, Kurt Warner, and D'Angelo Hall. We start, though, with the latest on the newest addition to the Buccaneers. It's official. AB joins TB12 in Tampa Bay, a move Tom Brady may have seen coming for a while. When asked if he spent any time in the offseason working out with Antonio Brown, Brady artfully dodged the question, but did have some thoughtful responses about what he can provide to his newest teammate.
I had so many guys that I looked up to when I was a player, and when you start in the NFL, I started on a team with a lot of great veteran leaders and guys that really took me under their wing. Willie McGinest, Teddy Bruschi, Troy Brown, Drew Bledsoe, just exceptional players, but great guys. And then over the years, you know, when you transition from a younger player to an older player, you really want to see guys succeed and you want to see guys do well. And it's always about maximizing your potential. And I had a lot of people support me over the years, realizing that I was far from where I needed to be. And they would guide me to and provide me with the help that I needed as a player to reach my potential.
All right, we go out to Tampa, where we find Sarah Walsh joining us on Total Access Live for the first time this season. James Jones and Willie McGinest are here with us as well. Yep. Willie, I'm going to start with you here because we just heard Tom Brady drop your name there when he was asked about Antonio Brown joining the team. Can you sort of unpack that? What did he mean by that?
Well, his ability is definitely undeniable. We know what he can do on the field. He was a top 5 receiver in every category from 2013 to 2017. But it's the other things outside of football that Tommy was alluding to when he mentioned Drew Bledsoe, Bruschi, myself. One thing we all had in common is we put team over individualism. It was about holding each other accountable. It was about being a link in the chain, in the wheel, doing the things that you're supposed to do for your teammates. It's about staying out of trouble. There's a lot of things that goes on in those locker rooms. There's a lot of things that went on in our locker room. It was about everybody being on the same page, everybody coming in together, and nobody putting one person over the other. So now he's coming into a crowded receiver room, right, with some very talented players. What happens if you don't catch a certain amount of balls? What happens if you're not getting in the end zone enough? How is your behavior going to be? How are you going to take that? Is the W better than any statistic you can talk about? That's the things that Tom is talking about. And we had more guys that felt that way than we had guys that felt the other way. So now that he's coming into the Bucs locker room, I think it's important. I think they want to see, is that going to be the Antonio Brown's mindset? And he's going to be able to deal with that.
That's one of the biggest questions there, but I think the key there in mentorship and the trust between them, that's going to be the key part. And I know you had some questions for Sarah, too, as we get into this chat. Go ahead, Willie.
Sarah, I'm sorry. So everybody's talking and mentioning everything about the on-the-field Antonio Brown. And like I said, I know his ability is undeniable and what he can do and what he can add to a football team. But what are the Bucs as an organization saying, and what are some of their concerns? Because when you talk about Antonio Brown and, you know, recording coaches, recording players, showing fines and all the different things that went on inside the building, were there any concerns or did they have any issues with that?
Bruce Arians, Willie, is saying there's not. He doesn't have any concerns. He was asked today how he thinks Antonio Brown will handle, like, the COVID protocol, and he said no. He's very understanding that this is the deal. You go to practice, you go home, you come back to practice. Arians said today that he looked fantastic, that he was in team meetings today because he can't be out on the practice field yet because of that suspension, but that he looks like he's in really great shape and that he'll be ready to go next week. Now, this Buccaneers team desperately needs him because they are banged up with injuries. They've been dealing with that all season long. Chris Godwin now had to have surgery on a broken finger that Bruce said he was surprised by because he left the stadium Sunday and he thought he looked okay. He also said, and I thought this was interesting, there were reports that Godwin would be back for that big divisional showdown week 9 against the Saints. But Arian said, look, to think he's going to be back and just missed one game, he said that is very optimistic. So this is a team that really needs Antonio Brown to come in and help them. And so far, this team has been the kind of team that doesn't care about stats. Mike Evans was only targeted twice last week, and you don't hear these guys complain about that stuff ever. Certainly the talent level has been raised once again in that receiver room. And James, what does a guy like Antonio do for the talent level on this team that Tom Brady now has to work with?
Well, first off, the Bucs are trying to win the Super Bowl and get to the Super Bowl. That's what this tells me, bringing Antonio Brown in the building. And listen, this is a talented wide receiver group. But when Antonio Brown walks in this building, he is the best one in that room, period. Pro Bowl receivers in there. When Antonio Brown walks into this room, he is the best one, period. And when you take this field with Antonio Brown on the field, you are either going to show him some more attention and double team him, and then Mike Evans is going to beat you, Chris Godwin is going to beat you, Rob Gronkowski is going to beat you, and if you want to show those other guys some attention, one-on-one coverage with Antonio Brown is a nightmare for any DB in the National Football League. We know Antonio Brown is a worker. He's going to come in shape, ready to go. So this tells Tom Brady he's living. I'm telling you, he just woke up from a dream. Antonio Brown is on this squad, and they are about to go to work. One-on-one coverage on these guys, they will not be stopped. And if you want to play coverage, they are going to run the ball down your throat. They are trying to win a Super Bowl.
Listen, and the work starts once Antonio can actually get on the practice field with his new squad. All right, James, Willie, and Sarah, our eyes and ears in Tampa. Thank you all. More teams making moves. It's time for Rap Sheet.
Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, University of Alabama. Hearing my name get called on draft day, that's going to mean everything to me and my family.
The Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa.
I would say the strengths to my style of play is my pocket presence.
Tagovailoa going to go to the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! Guess who? How many times have you seen this?
And also with the accuracy and timing.
Watch this! All the way to the house! One of the best ever for the Crimson Tide.
And I'll be offense in Miami. It's a blessing. That's all I could say.
The countdown to Tua, our Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. Kurt, possibly one of the last times we'll have to see his college stuff, now getting ready for his NFL debut. So how can Tua Tagovailoa have success in that first NFL start in Week 8?
Well, MJ, it's not going to be easy. We saw on Monday night how good this Rams defense can be. And, you know, everybody's going to talk about Aaron Donald, as they should, because it's the pass rush where everything starts. But they're really, really good on the back end, starting with Jalen Ramsey and the different things that they do and how aggressive they are on the back end. And that's what makes it tough on a young quarterback. If they can get quick pressure and the back end plays downhill or shrinks the field, it can be really, really tough if you're forced to hold the football. You have to believe that the game plan is going to be get the ball out of Tua's hands quickly, whether that's with RPOs or the quick game. Pick your moments to go down the field, but this isn't going to be a game where you're going to sit back there and take 7-step drops and try to read things and make big plays. It's going to be short, take your shot. Short, take your shot. And Tua, as always, as he's getting into this thing, has to realize sometimes the best play is a throwaway instead of sitting back there and trying to make every play.
Kurt, we heard him saying that little bit of sound that we heard before we started here. He has this presence. Now that presence has to meet the preparation that his coaching staff has been doing over the last few weeks. Kurt, thanks. And stick around because we'll see you later in the show for your QBs to watch in Week 8. Now it's Rap Sheet time with our NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. And Ian, the trade deadline is next week, Tuesday, and teams are starting to make moves. What are the Cowboys doing?
Well, the Cowboys tried to make moves today, just like they did yesterday, trading Everson Griffin to the Detroit Lions. Just did not quite work out that way. So here's what happened. Dontari Poe, an underperforming defensive lineman, Darryl Worley, a corner who has not seen the field much in recent weeks, were being shopped all day today, mainly as the Cowboys go a little younger and kind of move on from deals that did not work. They were unable to trade these guys. And so what they did was right before 4 o'clock today, they released them. So now it is 3 veteran defensive players the Cowboys officially moved on from and jettisoned over the last couple days as they try to fix the issues on their defense. Meanwhile, a team that did make some moves, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wide receiver Devontae Parker, he was limited today with a groin. Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas did not participate with an ankle. Other non-participants, Deontay Johnson, Allen Robinson, and Aaron Jones. Kurt Warner has one of the greatest stories in NFL history, from an undrafted backup to a Hall of Fame legend, and he did it winning only 67 regular season games. Moral of the story, every dub matters. Coming up, Kurt's 3 quarterbacks to watch this week. What's their challenge? What's their problem? And what do they need to do to put another dub on their resumes? Who is the king of the North, the Steelers or the Ravens? And who is the king of the debate stage, JJ or D-Hall? From the field to the studio, they just don't agree. We'll let you decide who's right next on NFL Total Access.
NFL Total Access is brought to you by...
We down for sure don't like them. Well, what's the blue? We on this hell today. This is our championship. Today is our day. They got him. Loose ball.
Now comes back to his right. Throws the pass. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. Flacco's going to be stacked up.
That's big time defense right there.
He's intercepted, and he's in for the touchdown.
The Ravens offense delivers the miracle.
There's some hit. There's some jawing. There's everything we thought there would be.
Hit by Polamalu.
Ball's out.
He kind of did force Jacoby Jones back into the field.
He's got Steve Smith Sr. Touchdown.
Runs to the left. Le'Veon Bell, touchdown. His second of the game.
Powers his way inside the 5. Touchdown. The Ravens are back in front.
That's it. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. 9 seconds left. You gotta be kidding me.
You got 2 teams that respect one another but don't like one another.
And the Ravens extend their lead.
Touchdown, Le'Veon Bell. Caught by Antonio Brown.
If you don't get fired up for this game, there's something wrong with you.
Well, what the Ravens do best, the Steelers are fully equipped to stop. Take a look at that bottom number right there. The Steelers have allowed 1 100-yard rush game this year. That's not 100 yards allowed to a player. That's 100 yards allowed to a team. This is our NFL Total Access game of the week. Willie, this is one of the best rivalries in the NFL, and it runs deep, my friend. Who has the advantage, Steelers defense or Ravens offense?
Man, that's a tough one, MJ. When you talk about the battle of these guys in the trenches, 2 teams that have bad blood, that don't like each other, it's hard to pick, but I got to sway towards the Ravens because they have so many weapons, and it's easier for them to control the trenches. When you look right here, they've got 4 willing backs. Not even added this man. He's the ultimate weapon. You have to respond and have somebody for him at every single running play, regardless of what it is. You got to protect the edges. You got to protect every blade of grass. Now, if you're not disciplined, if you don't have gap control, and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, plays like this happen. Everybody's running towards Lamar. Dobbins has the ball. He's the guy. He's the key. They got Ingram. They got Edwards. They got Hill. They got this young guy. They also use the tight ends. And then when you think you got the run, guess what? He'll pull it, and it's a play-action type pass. So when he gets that run motion, guys come off of coverage and leave the receivers wide open. This is a play. And then they have so many different formations. This is like an option. Okay, they got the Heisman. They got so many different formations that you have to prepare for, and it's going to be game specific. So it's going to be something they probably haven't seen that's specially designed for the Steelers.
Oh, Willie. Let's flip it for a second, though. Let's flip it for 1 second because can the Baltimore secondary really slow down the Steelers receiving core?
Now, I really like this receiving core, and they've totally been on fire. And I like what they've been doing with Chase Claypool. But if there's any team that's equipped to slow them down, it is the Baltimore Ravens. They've got 3 of the top DBs that can stop them. You got Peters, You got Jimmy Smith and you got Marlon Humphreys, one of the fastest, tallest, rangiest, smartest DBs in the league. So when you talk about Juju, Washington, or Chase Claypool, they can match up. They can give you a lot of different fronts. They can play man-to-man and bring a lot of pressure. They can just rush forward, and they can double a couple guys and drop everybody else back into coverage. But they can do a lot of different things to confuse you. So I understand that Pittsburgh has been on the roll as far as throwing the ball down the field, making a lot of plays, and the way they've used the formations. But these guys can find their man. They can go match up, and they can say, everybody else, do your thing. We can bring everybody else. They want to bring 6 or 7, they can do it because they got the guys to line up and do it.
I love talking matchups because we have one of the best ones right here on our roster. Here's a little highlight video of our boys, D. Hall and James Jones.
Takes a snap. Here's the blitz. Tosses it out. It is picked off. He's going to take it to the house all the way. D. Hall for a touchdown.
Snap to Rodgers, looking plenty of time. Lost it right side. Got a man. James Jones. Touchdown.
Stafford. Quick slant. It's intercepted. Picked off the edge of the Hall. Inside the 10. Nice move. He's going to go. The playmaker does it. Touchdown.
Snap to A-Rod. Looking around. Throws the middle.
Yes.
Touchdown. Touchdown to James Jones.
All right, D. Hall, get us ready for me versus you.
We appreciate that intro, MJ. JJ, what up, bro? We are back at it again, man. Me versus you. Tell me who you like this week. Man, I'm going division battle, man. Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. Jaleel Alexander versus Justin Jefferson. Listen, man, this young fella is impressive, and I'm telling you right now, hey, Alexander has been playing some ball, but this young fella has been getting at it, D. Hall. And I'm telling you, he reminds me of Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen. Off the line of scrimmage, he is dangerous. Kirk Cousins is trusting him. Right here, you see him off the line of scrimmage, immediate separation, winning immediately. Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, I'm telling you, that is who he reminds me of. The good thing is Alexander gets to go against Devontae every day in practice, so he should be ready for this one. But I like the young fella in this matchup, D. Hall. He's having a big-time year. I don't think he feels like he can be covered right now, man. I like the young fella in this matchup.
And JJ, look, you absolutely right. Justin Jefferson is a stud. But I didn't think you would pick against your Green Bay Packers, Jaleel Alexander, man. I like that young fella. Ever since he came out for the draft, man, I thought this dude, his competitive nature, man. And you talked about him going against a dude like Devontae Adams every day in practice. But, man, this dude competes down in and down out, man. So I like that. I'm cool with rocking with Jaleel Alexander in this matchup, man.
Hey, man, you know it was hard for me, man, but listen, I know he gonna ball too. I'm excited to see the matchup, man. You gotta tune in for it. Both these fellas is playing at a high level right now, man. Talk to me. Who you rolling with this week? What's your matchup?
Okay. My me versus you, it's gonna be Steph versus Steph. Stephon Gilmore versus Stephon Diggs, man. And look, when you talk about Stephon Gilmore, in case you ain't figured it out, I'm rocking with the defensive player. The way he finishes on the football, man, Stephon Diggs is one of the best route runners, and so he's going to have a chance to get open, but when you see Gilmore finish, he finishes at the football. And look, I know y'all heard the whispers of trade talk. Coach Belichick squashed it. We ain't trading Gilmore. He ain't going nowhere. You best believe this dude is going to be ready for this primetime matchup against Stephon Diggs, man.
Man, as much as I want to go against you and go with the wide out and Stephon Diggs, I can't, man. Gilmore is a baller. He's playing at a high level. He follows any and everybody. He runs routes for people. Like you say, he always is around the ball. You know, whether it's punching it out, whether it's getting a pick, whether it's tipping it, he is always around the ball. It's going to be a good matchup, but I like Gilmore in this one, too. I'm rocking with the DBs. Man, I hate to say that.
So I got JJ on my side. I love it. And look, man, this battle is going to be live, man. I can't wait to check it out, man. I appreciate you rocking with me on that one. MJ, back to you.
All right, guys, after the break on NFL Total Access, Kurt Warner has a Hall of Fame scouting report on 3 quarterbacks facing unique challenges in Week 8. Who are they? What are they up against? And what's the plan now? But first, Wednesday's Best Sound.
Gronkowski makes the catch for the second week in a row. Has a touchdown.
What makes that connection with you guys so special? I mean, it's like a saying my mom used to say, it must be maple syrup because butter don't drizzle like that.
And Beckham is down and injured on the play.
It sucks for us, but, you know, you hurt even more just for him. Yeah, no fun, but we got to be able to have guys step up and try and fill that void.
We were talking to Nick Foles yesterday, and he said, you know, sometimes play calls come in, and I know that I don't have time to execute that play call. And, you know, I'm the one out here getting hit.
That wasn't true what Brian said. It was important for Matt, Coach Nagy, and I to speak about what was said for our relationship. It doesn't matter if you're in marriage or what. If you keep something, you know, away from your wife and you don't ever talk about it, if you're married, you know it turns into something that it shouldn't be.
We're in a really, really good place right now, and couldn't be happier with where things are at with our relationship there.
Here it is.
Wilson sliding left, throwing, and that will be caught for a touchdown. Oh, boy, by Lockett.
Let's keep on, baby. All day. Let's go. Come on. Red zone chance. Looking for Gronk, and he's got it for a touchdown.
That's a record. Is it? 43? Oh, yeah. That's a record, 43.
Wentz throws, passes, caught. Touchdown, Boston Scott.
Great job, fellas. Great job. Great job. Great job.
That's a great game, bro. Great game. Good job.
Kurt Warner back with us now, and I need to know who you're looking at in terms of QBs to watch for Week 8, Kurt.
Well, MJ, we always know there's lots of different storylines around the quarterbacks week in and week out. So, you know, my list of quarterbacks to watch come from a little different angle. And number 3 on my list is going to be Baker Mayfield. That on the teams that I've been on throughout my career, or seasons that I've had throughout my career, I could go back to every one of them and point to a game or a moment in a game where things kind of turned for us. Well, we saw what Baker Mayfield did in the second half last week, the way he brought his team back time and time again, the big throws that he made at critical moments in the game. I want to see if this is that moment for the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield where things start to shift. They turn things around and they get rolling from this point moving forward. Number 2 on my list is Cam Newton. Now, another scenario that I went through a number of times in my career is I was benched a number of times in my career. You have one of those bad performances, you get put on the bench, you get humbled a little bit, and then how do you respond to that moment when you have to step back in the huddle with all eyes on you, media looking at you and saying, okay, you haven't played up to par. What are you going to do now after being benched? So Cam Newton going up against that Bills team that is leading the division. How does he bounce back? What does he look like this week? Knowing Cam is the competitor that he is, I expect him to play very, very well. And then number 1 on my list is Lamar Jackson. He has played very, very well for the last year and a half, but he's had a few stumbles along the way. Struggles against the Chiefs. Another one of the struggles was the first game that he started, or the only game that he started, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got my eye on him. When things are on schedule, Lamar Jackson has been awesome. But Pittsburgh is one of those teams that gets pressure on you, gives you different looks, and forces you to hold the football and get off schedule. So how does Lamar Jackson match up this time against this Pittsburgh Steelers defense that's making everybody hold the football and have to think about things a little bit longer?
Kurt, the Ravens on the bye last week, I was like, it feels like we haven't talked about Lamar Jackson in a hot minute, but maybe that week of rest definitely will do him good up against a stymied Steelers team this week. Big rivalry as well, too. Kurt and the entire Game Day morning crew will be ready for you Sunday, 9 Eastern on NFL Network. And before we get to Kurt and the guys on Sunday, tomorrow we have Thursday night football action. Matt Ryan leads the Falcons into Carolina.
The weeks prior, and go about our business. But when he plays, he definitely affects what you do and how you want to do it. And he definitely will affect on some of the things that our coaches have planned for already.
For more on this matchup, let's check in with Randy Moss in Charlotte.
Falcons interim head coach Raheem Morris says the confidence of his 1-6 team has not been damaged by their series of wildly improbable defeats. Morris said there are no psychological issues here, no excuses. And Todd Gurley, who accidentally scored the touchdown last week that helped fuel their loss to the Lions, said the Falcons need to keep a positive mindset. Gurley said once a team in any sport tells themselves, oh, here we go again, you're already beat mentally. For the Panthers, head coach Matt Rule said that Christian McCaffrey looked good on Tuesday in his return to practice, but that doctors, trainers, and McCaffrey himself will decide whether or not he plays on Thursday night on what might be a wet and slippery field here in Charlotte. McCaffrey hasn't played since suffering a high ankle sprain 6 weeks ago. NFL Network has reported that McCaffrey's participation tomorrow night is a long shot, but Rule says he is hopeful.
All right, bringing in D'Angelo Hall. Let's get into this one, my friend. Look at that. Woo, action shots. D'Angelo Hall. The Falcons have had a lot of trouble closing out games, but they cannot do that against the Panthers this week.
No, they can't do it against the Panthers, MJ. You talk about the way the Falcons lost that game last week, and then, you know, you take a look at the Carolina Panthers, and they go toe-to-toe with New Orleans, the team who's supposed to be the front runners in that division. And they had a chance at the very end to win that game. And so, to me, it's all about Teddy Bridgewater. They've given this dude some weapons. And, you know, when I look at this Panthers team, they were supposed to be the doormat of the NFC South, and they have a whole lot of fight in them. And so the Falcons can't let Teddy Bridgewater continue to hit these weapons. You see Robbie Anderson there. DJ Moore is showing the kind of playmaker he can be. And if Christian McCaffrey is in this game or not, I know they didn't run the ball particularly well last week against the Saints, but Mike Davis is a very capable running back, and he's been putting up numbers for that Panthers offense.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What's your pick? Who wins this one, D-Hall?
Oh, I know my people in Atlanta are going to hate me, but I'm going with Carolina in this one, MJ.
Woo,
31-24.
I don't blame you. I hear you. And the rest of our picks still to come later on NFL Total Access. But for more on the NFC South, here's PFF's George Chahuri with the Saints-Bears preview.
How can a 5-win team at home be an underdog? The Bears will have to figure out a way to legitimize their win total by showing up with some offense when they play host to Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and the Saints. On Monday night against the Rams, the Bears offense scored fewer points than their defense. In fact, they scored only 3 points. Super Bowl champion and journeyman Nick Foles has come off far more the latter since taking over for Mitch Trubisky. His PFF passing grade of just 62 ranks 28th among quarterbacks. In fact, the Bears' passing offense is one of only 7 in the NFL that decreases their chances of scoring on average each time they drop back to pass. For those of you counting at home, that is no bueno. None of those teams have more than 2 wins, and 3 of them reside in the NFC East. To say the Bears' 5 wins feel a little fraudulent would be an understatement, which means the Bears' defense is going to need to remain a top unit. They rank 6th in limiting passing efficiency this season, and now they get Drew Brees right when he appears to be hitting his stride. After a very rough start in weeks 1 through 3, Brees has the #1 PFF passing grade over his last 3 games. That's right, the formerly washed Drew Brees, he has risen. And that is with an ever-changing group of receivers. The one constant for Brees is the league's best running back, Alvin Kamara. Kamara leads the entire league with 428 yards after the catch and holds the single highest PFF receiving grade among all players regardless of position. That's not bad for a running back. The Saints come in as PFF's 7th-ranked team, while the Bears are treading water at number 16. Should we write off another Nick Foles